will get started. We're going to start by doing some release work. Okay. A lot of you guys found it super helpful. So I think anything that you were charged on, anything that maybe triggered you while reading Principle 4, which was falling up, kind of reminded me of John Maxwell's Failing Forward book. Any triggers that you might have had or anything that's been triggering you this week so far that you'd like to release that's come up, just bring that to mind when we get started in the process. Okay. So I'm just going to ask everyone, Arian's going to mute everybody, just in case someone's phone accidentally rings. But other than that, I want everyone to just start by taking your deep breaths, breathing in through your nose with your eyes closed. And exhaling, breathing in. Good again. Breathing in. Nice, let's take one more breath. Good. Now just breathing normally, I want you to imagine your feet firmly planted on the ground, on the floor, and feeling this connection with the earth. It's as though the earth is a magnet and your feet have magnets on the bottom, and you're connected, feeling almost drawn into the earth as though you are growing roots into the earth. Feeling this connection, this centeredness. Good. And I want you to just imagine those roots are going deeper and deeper, stronger and further down into the earth, where all the nutrients, the soil that provides all the nutrients for living plants, trees, flowers, vegetables, everything that grows in the earth. And I want you to just imagine bringing up those same nutrients in through your roots, traveling up through the soles of your feet, your calves, filling the nutrients and the energy of the earth up your thighs and just below your sits bone where you stop. And at this point, your legs are so connected and grounded that you can't feel them. There's a very heavy feeling. And even if you tried to lift your legs, you couldn't. And you don't want to. Good. Now I want you to imagine that any thought that you might have in your head right now, it's just disappearing. Any chatter that you might have, slowly leaving where there's nothing but quietness and peace. Good. Now I want you to ask your unconscious mind, what negative emotion, what trigger, what limiting belief do you have at this moment? Whether it was from reading, Falling Up, Principle 4, something that's happened in your day-to-day so far, interaction with someone, whatever it is that you need to release, just say to your unconscious mind, you're ready to release this negative emotion, limiting belief, and be aware of it consciously today so that it will release easily and effortlessly. Good. Now asking your unconscious mind to take you back to the root cause, the point of entry, the first time that this emotion, this negative emotion was felt, whether it was before, during, or after birth. Take yourself there now, asking your unconscious mind to take you there. And I want you to ask your unconscious mind to energetically activate good, just energetically activate all the baggage, the events that are related to this negative emotion, this limiting belief that no longer serves you. Good. And I want you to take a deep breath in. And on the exhale, I want you to notice how this negative emotion starts to disappear. Good. Nice. I want you to just ask your unconscious mind to preserve all the positive learnings so that you can install new strategies for being who you want to be, doing everything you want to do, and having all you want to have. And now just ask yourself to bring in the light. From the top of your head, just bringing it down and healing up any tender spots that were made available by the removal of this negativity that was held in the emotion for so long. Good. I want you to take 4 deep hot breaths, breathing in. Give it in with each breath. And you're bringing in, you're coming back into your body. 2 more. One more breath in. And on this exhale, I want you to just imagine you're still connected and grounded to the earth, but you're starting to feel your legs more, and that heaviness is gone. But you feel connected, grounded, centered. And when you're ready, I want you to come back into the room and open your eyes only when you're ready. Good. How was that? It was a big one for all you guys, huh? Felt a lot of energy going on there. So what I want to ask you to do is I want you to imagine a time in the past when that event would have happened, and just ask yourself, think to yourself, what's different about it now? How are you going to be when that event may occur in the future? What actions will you take or not take? Because we can only control one thing, which is ourselves, right? Cool. So, Diane, thank you for taking over for me. Had had quite a few things happen. Some of you guys know my mom had a stroke. Some of you may not know she also went blind in her eye, and then I wound up in the ER till 3:30 in the morning, the day of our book club. And I just said to Arian, I did my coaching calls, but I needed that rest for that hour. So I appreciate Diane stepping in. And if ever there's, another time where emergency happens, I'll be reaching out to all of you guys to see who would like to lead it, because this is a community. It's not just me leading every time. We're a community, and this book club is for all of us to learn and grow. So principle 4, following up. Who would like to share some takeaways and discussions? Let's have some discussions on this.
I have to admit, I got through principle 3, and that's where I was. That's where we were. So I stopped there. I didn't read principle 4, so I'm behind.
I like I liked a lot about this chapter, but I like that there are 3 mental paths. The one that keeps circling around where you currently are, and then the one that kind of makes you feel worse and takes you down a rabbit hole, and then the other one to grow from that situation, to learn from it and become better. I liked how with the post-traumatic stress, the military says you're either going to be okay, or you're going to be damaged, rather than having that third path. And I liked him pointing that out.
And yeah, absolutely. That is very cool. And May, you're exactly where you need to be. So in life, we all are where we are supposed to be. Okay. So the great thing is like, you'll have this today, and you'll hear what our takes are on it. So when you're reading it, you'll be like, okay, cool. That's what they were talking about. Okay. So don't ever think you're behind. You're right where you're supposed to be. Who else?
I'm not even in the audio.
Okay.
Hey, Teresa,
Yeah.
it's in the same part, the post-traumatic growth.
Yeah.
I always just viewed it as mental semantics, playing the Pollyanna game. How can I reframe what has happened to me? And it just felt like a cheap magic trick that really didn't work. But when you combine that with meditation and the mindset changes that come from that, it's actually a useful tool now, whereas before I just poo-pooed it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of cool because, it's like the saying, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger, right? And so it's interesting. I mean, what do you guys think? Like, so, because all of us, listen, there's no one out there that's had like a perfect childhood, right? We've all had adversaries that we've gone through. And, I liked whenever he wrote that if you go through these challenges at a younger age, then the older you get, the easier those challenges are, because you're like, hey, I've already been through this. I know how to do this. Like, what are some examples that you guys have had in your life where that has shown up, where you're like, oh, okay, I've done this before. I know how to get through it. Who wants to share?
Real estate. I mean, day one of real estate, and the first like conflict that you had, or the first obstacle or whatever, just seemed so big. And then you get through that terrible TRR, and the next one's like, oh, well, this isn't that bad, because I've been through much worse.
Yeah.
So you're like, we'll make it through. I mean, that it's not, the world isn't going to fall apart. So it's like, we got this.
I like that. And what a powerful reframe also on what's happening in our market, right? It's how we're choosing to look at it and realizing, hey, we're falling up, right? And what Antonia shared about the 3 ways of looking at it, you know, and you know, not bouncing back, but bouncing forward, you know. It's really, it's such a powerful, I think this whole book, you know, he talks about that, you know, when you go through things, for example, the majority of women that were diagnosed with breast cancer, what kind of positive growth did they overall have? Well, they had an increase in spirituality, compassion for others, openness, and even eventually overall life satisfaction, because after trauma, people also reported an enhanced personal strength and self-confidence, which heightened the appreciation for and a greater intimacy for their social relationship because of what they've been through. You know, what do you guys like? How does that resonate with you? How can you relate to that?
I'll go. I think I grew in so many ways with all of the traumas that happened to me over my last 20 years, that I did become more compassionate, more grateful, more giving, more caring, less self-centered. All of those things happened through all of the various traumas I experienced, that I now look at things through a much clearer glass, I guess, is how you say. It's kind of like in here, the tale of the 2 brokers. You know, one broker is very negative and always like, oh, we're doomed, the market is done. And the other one is like, we have great opportunity. And it's kind of looking at things through a different lens that way.
Yeah. What happened to Jason?
We lost him.
We lost Jason.
Teresa, I'd like to go back to the real estate point that the other lady made, was that I spoke to one of our preferred lenders this morning, and we were talking about the market, and I had provided him another opportunity referral to help a buyer to get pre-qualified. And, you know, we were talking about new people coming into the real estate business, and at this time, you know, with the market the way it is and everything, and they have challenges. And he goes, yes, and also it'll get rid of and weed out the agents that aren't, you know, performing and going back to basics and doing what we do best, and picking up the phone and calling our database and that. And I said, yeah, you're absolutely right. That's what it's going to do. So we always will have opportunities and challenges, and we have to do the best that we can do and come out the other side. So, you know, God will provide, I always say.
Yeah. What did you guys think about change your explanatory style? Change how you explain style. There you go.
Well, it's all fiction anyway, right? Whether we look at it negatively or we look at it positively. I mean, it's all fiction because it's how we perceive, and we're kind of making up a lot of stuff in our brain anyway from our own perspective. So might as well make up something positive that makes you feel better and helps you to grow.
Yeah. It's like right here where and I, again, with my highlight, I love highlighting stuff so that I can look at what it is I want to like chat with you guys about. Yeah, people with an optimistic explanatory style interpret adversity as being local and temporary. It's not that bad and it will get better. While those with a pessimistic explanatory style see these events as more global and permanent, it's really bad and it's never going to change. Their beliefs then directly affect their actions. The ones who believe the latter statement sink into helplessness and stop trying, while the ones who believe the former are spurred on to higher performance. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's cool, huh?
Mhm.
And it's really the choice, how we choose. And that's where reframe really comes into play, right? It's where I, will ask you guys, what's another way of looking at it? What's another way of, voicing it, saying it?
I mean, I feel like whenever we do that, we have a positive attitude about something and we're looking at it in a positive, we're not only affecting ourselves and how we see the world, but we're affecting those around us and how they see it. And I think people are attracted to positivity and hope and all those things. So I think that it's just multi-layered, and the positivity that will come your way because of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's what's really cool. Learn your ABCDs. So, I love challenging you guys because I just see the growth that you all have, the spirits that you have in you, and that you want to learn and be the best that you can be. So going to challenge you guys on this last section when he talks about learning your ABCDs. One way to help ourselves to see the path from adversity to opportunity, right, is to practice the ABCD model of interpretation. So our reality is how we interpret and, whatever is before us. And then we use the certain filters that we have, which are generalization, distortion, and deletion. So how we filter is how we were raised to see things through our own, to see the world and how our reality is. So the more consciously aware we become of how we filter and how we see and react, the more in control we're going to be and how we choose to see our own reality. So it talks about adversity, belief, consequence, and disputation. So adversity is the event we can't change. It is what it is, right? And so when there's something there's an event and we can't change it, that's where what can I control? What can I control? And it's accepting and how we choose to, learn our lesson, which is why we always open up. I'm doing the release work with you guys every call now on our book club. Our belief is our reaction to the event, right? And so again, it goes from programming thoughts, feelings, action, results, right? So if we can reprogram that belief or that pattern, change it, then that's when we can react differently. Why we thought it happened and what we think it means for the future. It is a problem that is only temporary and local in nature, or do we think it's permanent and pervasive? That's where whenever when I'm guiding you guys through release work, I'm saying, ask your unconscious mind to preserve the positive learnings. Using the word positive focus instead of, learn your lesson from that horrible experience. No, everything that happens to us happens for a reason, to help us grow and to learn from, so that, again, when he talks about how things happen to us at an earlier age, we're able to overcome it quicker and easier. So he says, if we believe, are there ready solutions, or do we think it is unsolvable? If we believe the former, that is, if we see the adversity as short-term or as an opportunity for growth, or appropriately confined to only part of our life, then we maximize the chance of a positive consequence. So in this context, what does that consequence mean?
Well, it sounds like the consequence is a result of our belief, in part.
Yeah.
And result of your action.
Yeah. Who else?
Sounds like the bold law, ourselves eavesdrop on our conversations, and so we get what we deserve in our imagination. So now, whatever it was that we believed or went through, we believed that we deserved that, and so that's how we're interpreting things, and we shouldn't be.
Cool. Yeah. Everyone answered correctly, right? There's no right or wrong answer. It's how we, what it means to us, right? And when I think of consequence, I also think of the positive lesson that we, are going to be learning, right? So, but if the belief has led us down a more pessimistic path, helplessness and inaction can bring negative consequences. That's when it's time to put the D to work. D is disputation. It involves first telling ourselves that our beliefs is just that, a belief, not fact, and then challenging or disputing it. Psychologists recommend that we externalize the voice, pretend it's coming from someone else. So it's like we're actually arguing with another person. What is the evidence for this belief? Is it airtight? Would we let a friend get away with such reasoning? And finally, if the adversity truly is bad, is it as bad as we first thought? So this particular method is called decastrifizing, taking time to show ourselves that while the adversity is real, it's perhaps not catastrophic as we may have made it out to be, which is where comes the release work that I do with you guys, right? It's just a much easier and faster way to get it out of there. Versus sitting there and like talking to yourself as if someone else were talking to you, and it may not work, because truly it is. You got to get to that root cause, right? What's the root cause of this negative emotion, this negative belief?
Hey, Teresa.
Guys, thoughts on this?
Hey, Teresa, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast recently, and a neuroscientist was the guest, and he was talking about all the experiments they've done with the left brain and the right brain, and how that it actually is two people arguing with each other, and they figured out ways to not necessarily turn off the left brain, but bypass it and interact only with the right brain, or interact only with the left brain. And they found in some people, in fact, in most people, they're on opposite sides, and the brain is actually arguing with itself to come to some sort of consensus in the middle between the two.
What do you think about that, you guys?
Sure feels like that sometimes.
Yeah. But what else does that say to us? How powerful our thoughts are, right?
Yeah.
How powerful is it that one, side of the brain can talk to the other? And we've already learned from reading, in the first part of this book, that our brain can grow and relearn or learn new things. It's been scientifically proven. So there's so much of our brain that we're not using, which is why the mastery, the path to mastery is to be learning based so that you can grow. What are some, being in respect of everybody's time, what are some takeaways? What are some things that you guys want to share that you're taking away from this? And learning.
I'm finding the humor in it, in the way he speaks, and realizing that there are people with pessimistic attitudes and people with optimistic attitudes, and it's how you're looking at things that makes a difference.
Choice.
Yeah. Anyone else? So my challenge to each of you, and I'm going to do this challenge also with y'all because it's a do with process. I'm going to challenge all of us to start interpreting our ABCD model, our adversities that come before us, what we believe about that situation, what consequence or lesson, positive lesson, will you learn, and how do you need to dispute it if you believe differently? Meaning if it's a negative belief that you are bringing up and still thinking. So this is really a great exercise for all of us, because not only is it for our daily lives and who we are, but also how could it be useful in your real estate career when you're dealing with other agents or hard to deal with clients. Well, so for example, when you have a very hard to deal with seller or buyer, the adversity, what is this? What is the problem? What's going on, right? So what do you believe about that situation, and what lessons have you learned from a situation similar to that? What choice are you going to make? How are you going to control your reaction? And if you've got this negative belief that, well, there's nothing I can do, then dispute that negative belief, because there is something you can do. You can control how you react and what you believe about it, right? So when we're consciously aware of how we are reacting and how we are interpreting and perceiving certain situations, then guess what happens in the end? We can manifest and control how we want it to turn out. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Cool. Anyone want to have any last shares before we wrap up? So who's been paying it forward lately? Have you guys been keeping that in your weekly schedule? Remember what we talked about, principle 1, paying it forward, doing something for someone, because it helps keep our energy up, positive. Okay, I'm going to challenge everyone to find someone in need, whether it's, on Facebook, there was a lender, and Diane knows who she is, and her grandchild has cancer. And so there was a meal train, and I made food and took it. So something even as easy as that, like a meal train. Yes, May.
Both of my kids are special needs. So I know the special needs teacher at the local high school. And so every year I ask her how many students she has. And then I go to like Walmart and I buy paper and pens and folders and notebooks and things that they would otherwise have to bring themselves for the classroom. Box of tissues, Clorox wipes, hand sanitizer, those kinds of things. And I give enough supplies to the teacher for those students for the year. This year it was 15 students and total cost was $60. I mean, it wasn't that much at all. And I would encourage each of you to do something like that, or even support a classroom of seniors or juniors to take the Quantum Leap course, the KW Kids Can Quantum Leap course. It's like $10 a student, whatever you can do, put that many kids through it. It's life-changing and it's a benefit to them all.
Yeah. So I want to keep that at the forefront of y'all's minds, to keep paying it forward. Do something, an act of kindness, act of service, right? that's what we're here for, right? It's what we do in our work lives. We're here to serve families. So why not someone in need? Just one little small act of kindness. Let's make the difference, right? Let's keep that in our schedule, that we're going to do one thing this week for someone, or for some students, sponsoring some backpacks, whatever it is. Okay. Love you all. And I think you guys are amazing. And I'm so grateful for each and every one of you, that you are showing up like you are, and that you're here to make a difference in not only your lives, but your families and loved ones' lives and others. Okay. Oh, Principle 5, it will be next Thursday. And I can't wait to hear what adversities you guys chose to believe differently about and make a positive outcome with. Okay. Talk to you soon. Bye.